How long will you let others control your mind? Don't let random comments, careless criticisms, or temporary failures dictate your emotions and shatter your inner peace. It's time to build a mind so strong that no one, not even the greatest storms of life, can touch it. You don't need more short-lived motivational slogans. What you truly need is the ability to master yourself, the ability to stand firm when the whole world is shaking. In this video, we will explore the core principles of Stoic philosophy, the very foundation that has helped countless people build a resilient and unshakable mind. Stay with us until the end of the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more valuable lessons to strengthen your mind and live a truly free life. You've probably heard a lot about training your body, about going to the gym to become stronger. But very few people will tell you this. The most important muscle is not in your arms or legs, it's in your mind. Your mind is where limits are created, where fears are born, where excuses are made to delay action, and it's also the place where all of that can be broken. The question isn't how much you can lift, but how much pressure from life you can carry without collapsing. That's why, if you want to build an unbreakable mind, you can't just listen for the sake of knowing, you have to truly live it, train it, every day, every hour. We are often swept away by the world like a leaf drifting on a river, sometimes floating, sometimes sinking, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, depending on the praise and criticism of others. When praised, we're happy. When criticized, we collapse. When people agree with us, we feel worthy. When someone turns their back, we start questioning whether we were wrong. But that's not true strength. True strength is when you no longer need the world to tell you who you are. You no longer need anyone to validate your journey because you know this. You are the only one who has the right to define yourself. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This may sound simple, but it can be the door that leads you out of fear, out of the dependence on superficial praise. You don't have to be trapped in the cycle of seeking approval anymore. You can stop, right now, and start building an inner strength solid enough to stand firm in silence, in loneliness, in moments when no one supports you. If you've ever felt isolated when you started saying no to meaningless parties, when you stopped engaging in conversations full of complaints, when you chose to wake up at 5 a.m. to train instead of sleeping in, you are not alone. Change will always make you different. And that difference will disturb those who are still stuck in their comfort zones. You don't need to explain. You don't need to ask for permission, because you are starting a journey to master yourself, and that journey does not require an audience. Building an unshakable mind doesn't happen on stage. It happens when you are alone, when you face the voices in your own head, when you learn not to react immediately to criticism, when you write down your fears and dare to look them straight in the eye. That's where you begin. Not in the crowd, not in the applause. You begin in silence. In your small room. In the early morning when the city is still asleep. And bit by bit, you will build something no one can ever take away from you. Mental freedom. If you are truly ready, keep watching until the end of this video. Because in the next few minutes, I will show you practical tools that will help you not just hear about strength, but actually become it. Don't leave. Because this is not a video you watch to feel better temporarily. This is a journey you choose to become better, forever. We are often trapped by imagined fears far more than by real dangers. What breaks us is not the event itself, but how we think about it. Have you ever realized that, in most cases, the worst things you fear almost never actually happen? Yet, those fears still hold you back, still control your decisions, still make you live as if you're running from a storm that never arrives. That's the paradox of anxiety. We spend our whole lives preparing for tragedies that exist only in our imagination, while failing to train for the real challenges of life. And if you don't learn how to face uncertainty, life will always feel like an arena where you are at a disadvantage. The truth is, you will never be able to control everything. You can't prevent unexpected phone calls, sudden failures, rejections, or inevitable losses. But you can train yourself to stand firm in the face of all of it. This is not about becoming numb or living without emotions. On the contrary, this is awareness. This is the intentional practice of building a mind that is not easily shattered. Imagine if you could walk into each day fully prepared for both the best and the worst. You would no longer be manipulated by unexpected events. You wouldn't be crushed by bad news because you've already anticipated it. You wouldn't panic because you've learned to accept that the unexpected is a natural part of life. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every day. He never left his room without spending time envisioning what could go wrong, not to make himself anxious, but to strengthen himself. He taught that if you mentally prepare for betrayal, misunderstanding, and failure, then when they happen, you won't be overwhelmed. You won't believe the world is falling apart. You will simply say, "I expected this." Calmness comes from preparation. It is not a gift from anyone else. It is the result of actively building a solid mental foundation. The problem is, most of us live with the false belief that everything will always go our way. We assume we will always be healthy, always be loved, always have opportunities. But when reality strikes, when illness, loss, and disappointment arrive, we collapse because we never dared to consider it. We never trained for those situations. And you know what's worse? Sometimes, fear doesn't even come from the actual event, but from uncertainty itself. You don't know what will happen, so you create hundreds of terrible scenarios in your mind and end up torturing yourself. That's why building a strong mind is not about avoiding difficulties, but about stepping straight into them with preparation. Accepting the possibility that bad things may happen is not pessimism. It's wisdom. It's how you learn to stand firm when everything around you is shaking. And it's the first step to freeing yourself from the fear of what might happen, but hasn't happened yet. There's something fascinating about people with resilient minds. They don't wait for the storm to arrive to learn how to sail. They train even when the sea is calm. Because they understand that life promises nothing, and what you fail to prepare for will always be the thing that hurts you the most. We often live as if everything will always be there. Our jobs, our relationships, our health, our stability. We believe, that won't happen to me, and then one day, when everything suddenly collapses, we panic, we feel powerless, because we never imagined the worst-case scenario to know how we would respond. A strong mind is not born on sunny days. It is forged in the quiet training for storms that have yet to come. And you, have you ever truly prepared for the day when everything you have could disappear? Or are you still waiting for it to happen before you figure out how to survive? Strangely, most of the fears in our minds shrink when we have the courage to face them head-on. When you write down the worst-case scenario for each area of your life, losing your job, losing someone you love, declining health, and you ask yourself, if this happens, what will I do? You will realize that the solution has always been there, you just never bothered to look for it. Visualizing a crisis in advance doesn't make you weak. It makes you calm and proactive. When you have a plan, when you've already asked yourself, who will I call? What will I do? How will I act? Then any storm becomes just a challenge, not a death sentence. I want you to really think about this. Are you ready for the day life throws its worst at you? The day you lose the job you love, the day someone you trust turns their back on you, the day your health suddenly sounds the alarm. Do you have a plan? Have you pictured how you would stand back up? If you haven't, don't wait until that day. Start training now, just like a warrior doesn't wait until the battlefield to learn how to use his weapons. Once a week, imagine the collapse. Write down your biggest fear, let it appear clearly on paper, no hiding. Then write out your plan, how you will act if that worst-case scenario actually happens. When you train like this, you won't be shocked when the storm comes, you won't be swept away by panic. And along the journey of building a resilient mind, don't forget to equip yourself with an emotional emergency kit, the phrases that will pull you back to your center when everything around you feels chaotic. Simple phrases like, "This is only temporary," "I've overcome worse," or "I can absolutely handle this," will become the anchors that hold you steady in the storm. Remember, a strong mind is not a mind that never faces challenges. It is a mind that has prepared so well that even when everything collapses, it still knows exactly what to do next. Mastering your body isn't simply about working out. It's the art of controlling yourself under the harshest conditions. It's a declaration that you are fully responsible for your life. When you choose to move on the days you absolutely don't want to, it's not about achieving the perfect physique or checking off a habit. It's about training your mind, It's your way of affirming that you give the orders, that you are not a slave to laziness or fleeting emotions. Every time you overcome procrastination, every time you push past the voice in your head telling you to stop, you are building something far more important than muscle. You are building willpower, you are forging an unbreakable inner strength. You can start with small actions. Take cold showers, use the stairs instead of the elevator, refuse the snacks you know you don't need. These aren't punishments. They are ways of sending yourself a clear message. I am in control. There will be days when your body resists, mornings when you don't want to get out of bed, moments when you feel zero motivation. And in those moments, you don't need inspiration, you just need to act. Because if you only do things when you feel like it, you'll never do enough. Real strength comes from consistently doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. Your body can either be the solid armor that propels you forward, or the chains that keep you tied to weakness. That depends entirely on how you choose to treat it every day. If you can train a body that obeys, a mind that commands, and a will that doesn't waver in the face of temporary comfort, you will become someone who no longer needs to prove anything, because your strength will speak for itself. And that journey begins with the simplest choices you make today.